Bob Johnston win 3 straight matches, 2 of them nail-biters. But in the title match, they ran into Stan Mayo and Scott Richardson, who put together a lead early and got the win. Another 400 team in January. Dave Arsenault and John Maffeo roll up a 4:05. They led from wire to wire. Tom O'Brien and Wayne Dennen didn't have high scores during their 2 wins in February, but they won a couple of close ones, winning the closest series championship match of the year by just 6 pins. Bob Mazur and Bill Coppold, the last team to qualify for this year's tournament, did it the same way the first team did, with 4 straight wins. They came from behind with a 156 final game in their first match, and then watched as a gallant comeback by Tim Lipke and Rick Barassa fell just short. Coppold and Mazur won a second match and a third, and in championship week they recorded 8 spares in their first 9 boxes and cruised to their 4th straight win with a 393. The season championship is on the line. This is the 3rd annual Tri-State Megabucks Doubles Tournament of Champions.
WNDS Sports and Tri-State Megabucks present Stars and Strikes Doubles. From the Londonderry Bowling Center, Stars and Strikes Doubles features the best candlepin bowlers from around New England in team competition. Stars and Strikes Doubles is produced in conjunction with the New Hampshire Candlepin Bowling Association. And now your hosts, Doug Brown and Dan Murphy.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Londonderry Bowling Center, and welcome also to Week 1 of the Tri-State Megabucks Doubles Tournament of Champions, the first of 5 weeks of Tournament of Champions action here on the Winds of New England. We're very glad to have you with us, Doug Brown, along with Dan Murphy, and we begin with 6 teams, of course, in our doubles competition, and we had a lot of interesting stories in doubles this year. A lot of teams did very well, winning multiple weeks.
Well, give us a lot to talk about in these coming weeks, but yeah, the way they got here was phenomenal. Some of especially our top-seeded top-seeded team, which we'll talk about later on. But they all have their little stories, and they're here now. And this is the finale, and this is what we've all been waiting for.
Well, someone's hoping for one more good story in the next 5 weeks to win the whole thing. The winning team in the Tri-State Megabucks Doubles Tournament of Champions will split $1,500 worth of prize money. So that's certainly something to shoot at. And we've got 6 teams ready to do battle, and our first 2 teams are ready to go today. So let's introduce you to them. First of all, our number 6 team from Natick, Massachusetts, Tom O'Brien. His partner is from Wakefield, Mass, Wayne Dennen.
Okay, Tom comes in averaging 123, has a high single of 213. And Wayne Dennen, likewise at 123 for an average and a high single of 189.
All right, and of course, they qualified with a 3-string championship total of 341, and so that put them in the number 6 position. And they will take on our number 5 seeded team in this first week of the tournament from Windsor, Vermont, Stan Mayo, and his partner from Hudson, New Hampshire, Scott Richardson.
Okay, Stan comes in averaging 115, high single of 173. Scott Richardson, very popular average today at 123 and a high single of 183.
All right, 3 strings, of course, of doubles bowling coming up here on Stars and Strikes Doubles. Week 1 of the Tournament of Champions, and we're going to get the whole thing started right after we take these messages. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Londonderry Bowling Center, the Doubles Tournament of Champions lineup. From the bottom, working toward the top, our number 6 seed, Tom O'Brien, Wayne Dennen. Our number 5 seeds, Stan Mayo and Scott Richardson. The winners of this match next week will come back to face Bob Kelly and Larry Valcourt. Our number 3 seeded team, Bill Coppold and Bob Mazur. Our number 2 seeded team, John Maffeo and Dave Arsenault. And our number 1 seeded team, Dan mentioned before the break, a terrific story how they got here, Ed Gerolman and Brian Fuller. Actually, Gerolman and Fuller and Coppold and Mazur each had to win 4 matches in order to get here to the Tournament of Champions. We have a number 4 seed and a number 5 seed in the tournament. We also have 2 number 2 seeds and only 2 number 1 seeded teams of the 6 teams that are here. Wayne Dennen to start the Doubles Tournament of Champions, our 3rd annual doubles tournament.
So the moral of that story is don't come in number 3 seeded because you don't make it.
I guess not. Not this year anyway. And Wayne just misfires on the spare attempt.
the 3, 5, 6, and 10, and got the 3, 5, and 10, and left the 6. And it'll be a 9. So we're underway. Championship weekend.
That's right. Tomorrow, the singles tournament of champions begins here on the Winds of New England. Tomorrow at noon, it will be our number 6 seed, Mark Gregory, against our number 5 seed, John Potorsky. Of course, both of these tournaments go for 5 weeks, and again, Wayne leaves the 6-pin.
6 pins cost him 2 marks. Both I thought he should have put up on the board, but unfortunately just 19 pins after 2, and Scott Richardson will lead off for the blue team.
Yes, Mayo and Richardson wearing the blue, and O'Brien and Dennen in red. Scott just misses the head pin, but not too bad.
Well, he won't have to worry about the 6-pin because that's gone. He's got the 1, 3, and 10.
Just a little bit short.
Just sliding by the head pin.
The team of Richardson and Mayo was one of those number 1 seeded teams to get into the Tournament of Champions. They won their series back on Christmas Day, beating Tom Farrell and Bob Johnston 347 to 331. Tom Farrell and Bob Johnston came very close to being a 3rd team to win 4 matches in a row to get to the Tournament of Champions, but they were knocked off by Mayo and Richardson in the final match.
I think one of the first weeks of this season, we mentioned how tough it was for the doubles to win more than 1 or 2 matches in a row, and it seemed like this year that's all we had was people running the table or nearly doing that feat to get into the Tournament of Champions. So 17, 2-pin advantage for Tom O'Brien and Wayne Dennen.
And Tom O'Brien throws the big bomb in his first throw of the day.
He's probably saying, where was that ball during the skins format?
Well, Tom told you before the show started that he doesn't like to show everything in warm-ups. Apparently not. He was saving it for that first real throw.
This time he's looking at the 2, 4, 7, and 9. And a spare on strike. So our first 2 marks of the match come off the ball of Tom O'Brien. A strike, and now this spare.
And that brings up Stan Mayo from Windsor, Vermont. Stan works for Split Ball Bearing in Lebanon, New Hampshire. Does a lot of his bowling at the Sunset Lanes in Newport, and there's a nice spare recovering from the first ball.
You see, just splitting the 1 into 2. The head pin goes down and takes out the 6, 10, and result is a spare. Their first mark.
On the head pin, big 8 fill. He'll leave the 2 and the 4.
Just barely caught the head pin. It's a big 8-pin drop, trying to match the 2 marks put up by Tom O'Brien. Not this time.
And there it is for a 10. So we've completed the first rotation. We've seen all 4 of the bowlers, and now Wayne Dennen back up. The team of Dennen and O'Brien was the number 2 seed back in the February series. As Wayne fills the spare left by his partner with a 5. Tom and Wayne beat Rico Baldinelli and Gary Carrington in the semifinal match, and then knocked off Frank Rose and Dan Broder by just 6 pins in the championship match.
And it's a 9 and 63 at the halfway point.
In fact, when O'Brien and Dennen won that championship match, Dan, if you remember, going into the final 2 boxes, Rose and Broder needed just 28 pins to tie in the last two, and they got a mark in the ninth, but a 4 fill. And they had a 2 fill prior to that.
Yeah, and then I thought it was over, but he converted that half Worcester for another spare, but then went through the middle. So.
Two opens for Wayne Dennen, so an opportunity for Scott Richardson to make up some ground, and he kicks out 8. He'll shoot at the 4-7.
The last pin he kicked out was that pesky 6 pin that's been bothering the bowlers most of this first game. Leaves himself the 4-7. Nice piece of wood in front. No problem for Scott.
2 marks each team now.
This is a fellow that holds the state record for 3-game total at 505. That along with Joe Ashline, both of them in recent months.
I was going to say, those are both
very
recent, right?
Yep. 505 for 3 games.
And talk about different style bowlers, too.
Yeah.
Both showing 505.
Yeah, of course, Joe Ashline, a real hard thrower, and Scott is a little more finesse and doesn't throw anywhere near as hard as Joe Ashline.
Cindy Sissom taking care of a wayward pin on lane 29. And it's a 9-box for Scott.
And a 1-pin advantage for Tom O'Brien and Wayne Dennen. Both teams with 2 marks. Mayo and Richardson 2 spares. O'Brien and Dennen a spare and a strike.
Tom O'Brien with that big left arm swing, and he almost carries another strike.
Just the 4-pin. That wood should roll off. Clear shot at the 4. Oh, sliding by.
It's interesting, too, Dan, that of the 12 bowlers that are here in the Doubles Tournament of Champions in 1994, only Tom O'Brien has previous Tournament of Champions experience, either in singles or in doubles. Tom was involved in the very first Doubles Tournament of Champions 2 years ago. He was paired with Phil Clough. They came in as the number 5 seed, and in the first match this first week, they threw a 392, but it wasn't good enough. They lost to Mike Morgan and Paul St. Pierre. All of the other 11 guys in the Doubles Tournament of Champions are making their first appearance, which shows you how difficult it is to get here. It's
That's right. And it's different, too. It's different than the regular week-to-week matches, because this is like the World Series of our shows, and all the hype that goes along with it, and the added pressure. Stan Mayo will shoot at a triangle.
Does that mean we're going to have to start having some of these matches at night?
Could be.
So they end at like midnight or 12:30?
Yes, right. Yeah.
So nobody can see them?
Or have the singles and doubles going on at the same time, so you only can watch one.
There you go. There you go. 10 bucks for Stan Mayo. Still a 1-pin difference.
Off the head pin, let's see, the 1, the 2, and the 5 left. A piece of wood behind the 5 pin. I don't think it's frozen, though. It's got to be almost flush on the head pin.
And oh my, the ball missed it. The wood missed it. The wood's coming back again.
He was real light on the head pin and almost converted it. But this will give his team the lead if he could. And he does by 1.
First lead of the match for Mayo and Richardson, and just that close to the spare. Actually, the pin hit the ball, it appeared, after it came back.
And each deflected each other away from the 5 pin. Otherwise, the ball or the pin might have knocked the 5 pin down for the spare. Wayne Dennen looking for his first mark of the match. Help his team, the 5, 9, and 10.
With wood everywhere. Some of it nestled up against the 5 pin.
I think I'd almost want to take the one to the far left.
Boy, had to power his way through a lot of wood that time. Unable to convert, and he'll have to take a 10 bucks. Wayne Dennen and his wife June from Wakefield, Mass. Wayne is the owner of FD Construction. Does some of his bowling right here at Londonderry, along with the Melrose Bowl down in Melrose, Mass.
6-7. A couple pieces of wood in front of the 6. Should come off the wall. Let's see if he can convert the 7. Oh, right behind it. Good try.
And the 10, a 108 with 2 marks for the team of O'Brien and Dennen. Scott Richardson now.
Light hit on the head pin, 7-10. Let's see where the wood settles down. He's got 5 pieces of wood still on the plate.
He knocked 8 pins down. Most of them are still there.
I almost want to go by the front 2 pieces and maybe catch that piece of wood next to the 7 pin. Now he's going to take the ones out front.
No, that's, again, a lot of wood to push through.
We got rid of 1 piece.
Of course, we should mention, too, that from up here where we are, it looked a lot simpler to go for that back piece of wood. It's something that the bowler might not see as easily, not having that upper angle that we have. A 9 box for Scott.
Way up from our sky view box.
That's right.
Looking down on the lanes. 98 through 9. Tied up now. Take the lead. Scott would meet a mark.
And it won't be an easy one. 4 horsemen right, plus the 7 and the 9. Scott skipped a little bit, or slipped, I should say, at the line a little bit on that second ball, and he'll take a 7, and it'll be a 105 with 2 marks for Mayo and Richardson. So the difference is 3 for O'Brien and Dennen. We'll be back with Game 2, Week 1 of the Stars and Strikes Doubles Tournament of Champions after these messages. The blue team leads off Game 2, Stan Mayo. He and his partner, Scott Richardson, trailing by 3.
Spread eagle. But he's got a piece of wood in between the 2 and the 4. He can clip that 3 pin plus the wood. He's got a shot at making this. He's going to go on the other side. Oh, good 10. Cuts the 3 into the 7. As close as the match is, those are the shots you're going to remember. Instead of an 8 or 9 box, it's a 10. This time the 1, 2, 7, 10.
Nope, slid by. Stan couldn't believe that one.
He knew as soon as he released the ball that it was off target, and not too happy with himself after that ball. A little bit behind himself. 7 box.
Brings up Tom O'Brien once again. Tom, in addition to being a fine bowler, also provided us with our sound effects for the Skins game, for those of you who missed it. We hope you enjoyed it, by the way. Wrapped up last week, and we thought it was kind of a fun experiment. We're interested in getting your comments on it. Nice spare for Tom O'Brien in the first.
Very nice. The 2, 4, and 10 catches just enough of the wood to slide it into the 10 pin right there. Great shot by Tom O'Brien.
I know the bowlers really enjoyed themselves during the Skins game. They had a lot of fun with it.
And that really came across with the microphone down there. That was a lot of fun to watch.
And listen.
Yes.
Oh, how about this shot? Oh, my. Oh, wow. Tom's upset with himself. He thought he had it. Imagine that. Missing a shot like that and being upset. That was a terrific shot.
Those other 6 pins were out of there in a hurry, too. Watch how fast they go. And this in front of the 3-pin. Hello.
Oh.
Whoa, the 1, the 3, and what, the 8?
Yep.
Believe me, I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it's pretty amazing. They can do that, the 1, 3, and the 8, and nothing else. And he works out of it with an 8 box, 25 through 3. Needs some marks, down by 9.
Scott Richardson from Hudson, New Hampshire, works as a chemical lab technician and does a lot of his bowling at the Leda lanes in Nashua, and he leaves a solid 9-pin.
Wants that wood to turn a little bit on the 9-pin, or get out of the way so you can have a clear shot at it, and that's probably what it's going to do. For the spare.
Yes. That'll be mark number 3 for the team of Mayo and Richardson. And Wayne will shoot at the 4 horsemen. Just missed. You get the sense that all 4 bowlers are maybe just a little bit either a little bit off or a little bit frustrated, one or the other.
They've had some spare leaves, and they're just missing the object pin, and that's where the frustration comes in. They know they should be at least hitting the object pin. Whether they get the mark or not is beside the point, but they're certainly not giving themselves a good opportunity to make the mark by missing that object pin. This time the triangle, 3, 5, and 6. And again, slides by the 3-pin, which would have to hit probably to give yourself a chance of making that triangle.
And Wayne leaves it there for an 8. We will take a break. This match getting a little bit closer, perhaps. It's a 9-pin lead for O'Brien and Dennen, but that fill to come from Mayo and Richardson when we return to the Londonderry Bowling Center after these words. Stan Mayo set to fill a spare left by his partner, Scott Richardson. Try and bring the match even, or perhaps even take the lead, and he can't. Just 4 with the spread eagle. Ooh, and that'll be a 6.
Just a total of 20 pins in those 2 boxes, so he really didn't take advantage of that mark. Reduces the lead to 5, temporarily anyways. And he gets a break when the 3-pin goes down, leaves himself the 4. And let's see, piece of wood right in front of it. Ooh,
wow.
Too far left. Well, he's been leaving the ball to the right. And he probably told himself, why don't I leave this one short, and just never followed through and kind of pulled the ball, and it's just a 9.
Tom O'Brien. Oh my. Tom put up 2 fingers and we came up 1 short. He's punching out the 3-pin.
A lot of bowlers will do that. They think they're going to get the half whistle. They'll put up 2 fingers, and Tom got a grin on his face and then proceeded to put up 1.
Oh my.
Wow.
A 5 box for Tom.
Well, I'm sure Stan Mayo didn't think he'd gain a pin in that box, but he did. Lead now just 4.
Tom back on the head pin. Well, this may be an interesting leave. The 3, 6, 7, and 9 with some wood angled.
Well, I don't know if the wood is angled enough to carry the 7-pin, though. Let's see.
Boy, great effort. Tom's got a piece of wood rolling up that'll have to be taken care of. Tom was trying to play that shot so far over to the right that he came very close to a piece of wood in the channel. Wasn't quite able to kick everything over. The 10 bucks. So that makes the lead 5 in the match. We're going to have Tom is looking back now to ask about that shot. We're going to have to check it during the next break. Tom really wasn't sure either, I don't think. If that was good. There's a backdoor strike. Scott throws his hands up. I think he'll take it.
Maybe we're doing something wrong here. We've been hitting the head pin too much. There we go, the 2-pin, and finally the head pin.
First strike for the team.
Oh, well.
There's what happens when you hit the head pins.
Somehow the breaks even out. You see the backdoor strike, and then on the head pin, just the 1, the 5, and 9. And just the 5 fill on the strike. So he has to scramble to get any benefit out of this mark at all.
An 8. Wayne Dennen now. Team of Dennen and O'Brien with 3 marks, but they've had only 1 in the last 12 boxes, and now they've got a shot at 1.
Crowd Greg getting into this now. Realize the bowlers need a few breaks, and there's one for Wayne. Gets a nice 9-pin drop, and then the spare. We're dead even right now. Wayne will regain the lead with his first ball.
On lane 29, watch out. It was almost a half Worcester. Instead, it'll be a 5 drop. Oh, nice shot. Doesn't convert it on the 7. Boy, he gave it a real good chance, though.
Let's see the reaction. Wayne thought he had it. I thought he had it. Crowd did. 7-pin had something to say about it.
10 box. 81 through 8, and now a 7-pin lead for the team of O'Brien and Dennen. This one a defensive struggle so far. Stan Mayo back in the pocket.
Wants that 10-pin to topple, and it does. The 4, 5, and 7. Piece of wood in between the 4 and the 5. Got to have the 4-pin.
Missed. Clipped the wood, but not the 4-pin.
Waiting in the wings, Bob Kelly and Larry Valcourt next week will take on the winner of this match.
Actually, that was the 2-pin, wasn't it?
You're right, it was the 2. I said the 4.
And I followed you.
Yes,
right off the cliff. There's the big strike. Stan Mayo with the strike in the 10th.
He gets turn the ball over a little bit, gets the ball to break into the pocket, trips the 4-pin, really the 4-pin, or the strike. Looking for 2.
Well, let's see what this wood will do here. The 6, 7, 9, and 10. Not enough for the spare, but he'll take an 8 fill on the strike, and it's back-to-back 105s for the team of Mayo and Richardson for a 2-game total of 210. Tom O'Brien now, final 2. Be interesting to see how the teams elect to handle the...
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes. Oh, what a shot.
He threw the 3-pin between the 2 and the 4, and I said, gee, that's too bad, and what a try, and then all of a sudden the pin comes back again, topples into the 4 and then the 2. Great shot by Tom O'Brien. Ooh, look better than that, just 4. As Doug said, the scores aren't going to be tremendous, but the match is certainly going to be close.
Ooh, thought he had made another one there when he let it go. Match is dead even right now. Tom gets anything on this ball, that'll be the lead. And he'll take 1. It'll be an 8-box, so 103 for O'Brien and Dennen, and a 2-game total of 211. So 1 pin is the difference. We will come back. We will check that 6th box, by the way, during the break on the replay and let you know how it turned out when we come back. Don't go away. Well, as we mentioned earlier, we hope you enjoyed our special 4-week presentation of Candlepin Skins, which wrapped up last Saturday. And we'd love to hear your comments about it. Thoughts, criticisms, suggestions. We'll take praise, too, if you want to jot in and tell us that you like the show. We'll live with that also. But just send your comments into WNDS TV 50 Television Place, Derry, New Hampshire 03038, and be sure to put stars and strikes or Candlepin Skins or something on the envelope so that we know what it's about. And we'd love to hear your comments. Game 3, Hal. And we can start off by telling you that we checked the replay, as they say. Didn't take nearly as long for us to do it as it takes for the NHL, or
that's right,
as it used to take the NFL to do it. And
there's no doubt.
That's right. Tom's shot in the 6 was good. Really wasn't that close. It was just one of those things that looked close to the naked eye. Piece of wood that was in the channel was very deep, and so there was no way really for Tom to hit the other piece of wood without, or hit the piece of wood in the channel without hitting the other piece first. Well, we talked about this, Dan, and now we know. The team of O'Brien and Dennen has changed their rotation, with Tom taking the extra 2 boxes here in Game 3. The team of Mayo and Richardson will keep the order that they have been in. And for these 2 boxes, at least, it does not pay off for Tom and Wayne, because Tom is open. You get the feeling this is just going to come down to the last box?
Yes. I think we're in store for the next several weeks. A lot of matches like that, singles and doubles. We'll see.
Scott Richardson getting an interesting mix there, but
it's a makeable spare if the wood stays where it is. 4, 7, 10. This ball breaks a little bit from right to left, so he'd be breaking into the 4, 7 if he can. Ooh,
too much.
I think he tried to put a little extra on it to use that wood and then just pull the ball to the left. Again, I think you're still playing the wood in that one.
The winners of this match come back next week to face Bob Kelly and Larry Valcourt. Oh, Scott crossed over into the Brooklyn pocket that time, and that was a snapping quick strike.
You can see the replay, and they don't stand up very long, as Doug said. They draw first blood here in this final game. Only a 1-pin advantage for O'Brien and Dennen coming in. Well, the 2 and the 5. Piece of wood next to the 2.
Ooh, no.
That was a tough shot, because if you came up any higher, you have a chance of capping the wood and not getting the 5. And just didn't have a real good angle. It's just a 10 box. So they're open the first 3.
Wayne back on the head pin, but not much to show for it. Very thin hit. The diamond to the right plus the 7 pin. the team of Mayo and Richardson, Dan, they've thrown 3 strikes. Nice 10 there for Wayne Dennen. The team of Mayo and Richardson has thrown 3 strikes in the last 6 boxes, but none of them have been together. And you look over their whole match, and they have 6 marks, and they've not been able to put marks back-to-back yet. So that's what Stan Mayo will be shooting for here as he works on the strike. And there's the big drop.
That looked like almost a double strike going in. The 5-8, 5-7-8, 5 and 8 go out. He's got the 7-pin piece of wood lying next to it, and half of it's in the channel, half of it's resting against the 7.
Got to be careful here.
And too careful.
Oh.
You're right. Sometimes you worry about throwing the ball into the channel and you leave it to the right.
And that was the ball right there.
They'll take the lead.
By 8 in the match.
But that would have been a big, big mark. Of course, you know what's going to happen now. 7 or better in this ball automatically. So even when you don't hit the head pin.
Sure, they'll all fall now, right?
That's right, because you missed the single box before. They know.
How about this leave? The 1, the 6, and the 8. I don't think we've seen this one for a while.
A couple pieces of wood, one next to the 8, one next behind the 6.
Ooh, he's got the tough one in the back.
To keep it at 8, he'll need to knock this one down.
He does. So Mayo and Richardson lead in the match by 8. 6 boxes to go, and we'll be back with those 6 boxes right after we go away for these messages. Well, one of these 2 teams is going to advance, but tough to tell right now which team it'll be. This match has been in single figures just about all the way.
Well, he has a 7-pin to look out, but his wood but his wood is out in front a little bit. It's not frozen against the 7-pin.
And the spare. That is 6 marks for O'Brien and Dennen, each team with 6 now. On the spare now. An 8 fill, but let's see what the wood does. Well, it's going to be no factor. Would you take a chance on that piece way over on the left?
You know,
might as well,
right?
Right?
That's right. I mean, you look at your the outcome. If you miss it, then you get a 9 box. You know, you're only better by 1 pin. I would take a chance on it. Tom is too. Well, that's something to come out, but now he can grab 1 for the 9 box. Got to gamble a little bit on that second ball, especially the match this close.
Well, he puts the big mark up, 27 pins in the 2 boxes, so Scott Richardson comes up, knowing that he'll have to mark in order to maintain the lead. Oh, and a half Worcester. Look out. Oh, wait. When he let that go, I thought he was headed for the half Worcester on the other side.
1-7-10 left. Of course, what you don't want is a bad frame. You want to keep them 9s and 10s if you can.
Nine box. So the lead is now 1 for O'Brien and Dennen. Back the way it was at the start of the 3rd game.
Ooh, full on the head pin, but he was able to clear out the left side and leaves himself the 3-6-10, and the wood looks pretty favorable to clear these 3 out if he's on the red line or thereabouts.
Got it done.
So the match is dead even. They will take the lead with that bonus ball on the spare in the 6th.
And we're down to the final rotation. 4 boxes to go. Wayne Dennen will be first. And Wayne will shoot at the 4 horsemen to the right. Oh, yes. Big shot right there for Wayne Dennen. Wayne's been fighting it a little bit. That's a big shot for him right there.
And you know how tough it is to knock down the 4 horsemen. Many times you'll leave the 7 or the 10 pin in that case, the corner pins. And as Doug said, a big mark.
Oh, my.
But not so big a fill. You gotta just dig down deep here and try to get your 9 or 10. Make that spare count.
That'll be a $7, so no effect really of the spare. It's just 20 pins in the 2 for Wayne Dennen. The story in this match may be told by what Stan Mayo was able to do in these 2 boxes, because he could really put some pressure on Tom O'Brien here if he's able to put any kind of score up. That's 7 on the fill, establishing a 7-pin lead for his team. Opposite spare 3 here in the 8th, and Stan runs by it.
3 ball's important now. He's opposite a spare 3, so he'd like to get a 9 or a 10.
And he'll take 9. So that reduces their lead to 3, but now opposite a $7. No, big ball there. How about that?
Kicked out the 7-pin for the strike. That was the end of his day, too, as far unless we went overtime, but he went out with a bang. This last box threw a strike, puts a lot of pressure on Tom O'Brien now, final 2.
Tom's going to post a score and hope that it will be enough.
And I would say trailing by 6, he'll have to put up 2 marks.
Well,
3 and the 7. Stan Mayo made these 2 pins for a 10 box earlier in the match. The wood now is rolling out, so you want to probably, well, let's see. I was going to say take a piece of that and the 3 pin. No, he's too far right. To have any chance, he'll have to put 1 up and hope that they don't fill that strike. But
8. We've had back-to-back marks only once in this match. That was when Tom O'Brien threw back-to-back marks in the 3rd and 4th boxes of the first game. And how about this? Almost the strike on the delay. There's a kind of a T piece of wood in the back near the 10 pin. Doesn't hurt him at all in that shot, though. He gets the spare in the 10th.
He'd love a strike here. He's going to need some help from Scott Richardson in as far as a bad fill on that strike. No, he may not even need that now. Just 108. 319.
3-game 319. So that means Mayo and Richardson need a 110 to win the match. And there is an 8 fill already with 1 ball to go on the strike. 1 more pin and they've already won it. And there you go. That's 113 with a ball to come in the 9th, and this thing is over. Back-to-back marks for the first time in the match for Mayo and Richardson, and they do it at the exact right time, and now a strike in the 10th. Well, this thing's gonna look like a rout on the scoreboard, but it was hardly that.
They're down to the final 2 frames, but it's like you say, it's not going to show that with the final score. Finish with almost 60 pins this final 3 boxes.
Stan Mayo and Scott Richardson will advance. An 8 on the strike in the 10th, a 141, and a 3-game total of 351. So again, a 32-pin win for Mayo and Richardson, but most of that was accomplished in the last 2 or 3 boxes. We'll be back to talk to the bowlers and fill you in about tomorrow's first singles match in the Tournament of Champions. All of that and more when we come back. And welcome back to the Doubles Tournament of Champions here on Stars and Strikes, and bring Dan Murphy back here in just a second, talk a little bit about tomorrow's singles match and also next week here on doubles. But first of all, let's congratulate our sixth-place finishers, Wayne Dennen and Tom O'Brien. I know you've got the little smile because things didn't really go too well today, but hey, I'll tell you, both teams really, though, struggled until right there at the end when Scott and Stan were able to put some marks together.
Yeah, I really wasn't throwing too well today. Tommy bowled good. The last string, he couldn't get a break. He kept leaving the 8-10 and the 5-7, and that's the way the breaks go.
It seemed very tight for all four bowlers, really, Tom. Even on headpin, off the headpin, didn't seem to matter.
That's true. This was a very nasty bowling alley, and it has been for the past few months in here. I never bowled good here, but I think everybody should write in, and we'll go back to Park Place Lanes. That sounds good to me.
Thanks very much, Tom. Always good to talk to you. And Wayne, congratulations, and thanks very much for being here. We appreciate it. Let's have Stan and Scott come on up. And much to Tom's chagrin, we will be staying here at the Londonderry Bowling Center. But in any event, congratulations, guys. Geez, had them all the way, right?
Oh, yeah, no problem. When I threw that first strike, I knew it was going to be our day.
It was kind of a funny day, though. It seemed like all four of you guys took turns struggling a little bit.
Yeah, I consider ourselves pretty lucky. They had a lot of tough breaks, but we had a couple, but they had a lot of them.
All right, next week, Bob Kelly and Larry Valcourt come in. We'll be looking forward to that. Thanks very much, guys. Appreciate it. We're running a little short on time, but we do want to fill you in on next week's match. So here's the way it looks now, is we will have Stan Mayo and Scott Richardson coming back for a second consecutive week, and they will go against the team of Bob Kelly and Larry Valcourt. And we also want to remind you that tomorrow is week one on our singles tournament of champions. That will be at Park Place Lanes, but Tom O'Brien won't be there. Mark Gregory will be, though, against John Petorsky. That'll be match number one of our 5-week singles tournament of champions. And a very funny match here today.
Oh, yeah, the lanes were a little tight on them, but, you know, it's the same conditions for both teams, and one wins and one loses.
All right, we hope that you'll join us tomorrow for our first week of the singles tournament of champions. Remember, right back here next Saturday at Londonderry for week 2 of the doubles tournament of champions. Until then, for Dan Murphy and the whole crew, I'm Doug Brown. Have a good weekend, everybody.